And Roz, maybe I'd kick it over to you. You're so steeped in the basketball world. It's just hard for me to imagine. I'm sure they want one, and quite recently one of the sports business outlets reported, every league is in talks with Dapper and wants their own NFT version of Top Shot. And my response was, of course they do. But it's hard for me to imagine, say, an NFL one catching on as much. And I guess part of the same question, you wonder if the popularity will peak and valley. You mentioned that once the playoffs start, you think it'll get even hotter. I've wondered what might happen to the Top Shot market when the NBA season ends.
Yeah, I'm going to answer quickly here because I definitely think this is a Katie question. But, one of the things that really works about the NBA, we know a lot of the players really well. It's not just the stars. There's a lot of familiarity with a number of players on the rosters, which is not always the same with other sports. And I think that helps too. I actually think for other sports, perhaps a product like a Top Shot for them might help the marketing and visibility of other players, not just the stars. But I also think the NBA has incredible storylines and drama and, all sorts of stuff to follow throughout the season. Today's the trade deadline. A lot of interesting stuff happening right now for the NBA. When the season's over, free agency. Every summer, there are things that have been happening that change the whole shift of power in the league. And then there's the Olympics this summer. So no, there won't be games, but I imagine a good content plan or, just some way to build on the many riveting storylines happening this summer would be key. And I do know that Top Shot, I talked with Jacob Eisenberg. He said WNBA was coming. I cover the WNBA. And I obviously love the women's game. So I think that's very thrilling. And I cannot wait to see the way you guys bring that out. Katie, I'll send this one to you.
Yeah, we're working through some stuff with the W right now, but it's the 25th anniversary season. We're super excited to what that can look like within kind of Top Shot or a Top Shot environment. There are a few things there that we want to be really conscientious about. One is that we need to build stability into our systems first. And so what we're going to do with the W, or what we're planning to do with the W, is more of like an MVP, not what the final state would look like. But I think we're super excited to be highlighting the women's game as well. Super spectacular talent on that side. I'm like, can we get our play policy worked out? Because I don't even want to do a W drop until I can get in on that. But on the broader question of other leagues, before I started working for Dapper Labs, I worked for the NFL. And so when I think about the NBA versus the NFL, the NBA really blaze a trail in a lot of ways, and they're willing to take some risks. And frankly, we were a risk 3 years ago when we started talking to them. We were crypto kitties. The technology had already been proven to be problematic, right? Like Ethereum melted when we launched CryptoKitties, and they still said, this is interesting and we're willing to take this call and we're willing to talk about it. So that kind of speaks to how far out they're thinking about it. But I think with other leagues, if you think about, the NFL, they don't always do it first, but they try to do it best. And so learning from the NBA is very much in their playbook. And I think that when we think about the kind of products that we would build with other partners, we think about customizing it for those fan bases. We can't just slap NFL players on NBA Top Shot and make it work. And so, starting with that creating fan value perspective almost ensures that whatever you're going to do is going to be successful. Because if you start with something that fans benefit from, and for us, it was fans had to benefit more than we did. And that's what I meant by that, like pack sales versus marketplace transaction volume ratio. If fans benefit from it and fans love it, then it'll be successful. And so I think NFL could be incredibly successful. I always say, one of those one-handed Odell Beckham Jr. end zone catches when he was with the Giants, like I'm first in line for that.
Yeah. And Katie, I'm waiting for when you guys add vintage plays as Top Shots. I want to see like Havlicek steals the ball as an NFT. So we'll see.
Yeah, and I think when you think about what happens when the season ends, there's a ton of content that we could look backwards at and keep, the economy moving. The W plays in the NBA offseason, so there's lots of content there. We've been really happy with the one historic pack we dropped. For anybody who got a Tim Duncan or a Steve Nash, Dirk Nowitzki, like those are great, and those are really iconic players and iconic plays from those players. So we think about it as a full year season. There is no off season for NFTs.